church, I waited and I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, brother, get ready for the testimony. He's like, he kind of like just looked at me straight and he goes, you know what? He goes, I've been wanting to. And I've been like, you know, God put something on my heart, so let it go, brother.
How's everybody doing this evening? Good? Kind of nervous, so bear with me. A lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. See some new faces in here. I've been coming to church, serving God my whole life, pretty much. My mom's been serving God for over 25 years. And, you know, born and raised in church, and, you know, God's always had that desire inside of me that I was going to do something for God. You know, we had a church in Lodi, and, you know, they got shut down. So, and I was a teenager when I believe I just turned, barely going to high school, I believe, and that's when I started fading when our church got shut down. I came here, you know, change for a teenager it's not easy. It's not easy, and that's where high school came into play. I kept serving God pretty much just to make my mom happy. I kept coming, you know, not listening to the sermons, not, you know, just fooling around in church, and just not getting the word. You know, I was still young and I was in high school and just being doubtful, you know. And then temptation came along. I started drinking, I believe in my junior year, just to look cool, I remember somebody handed me a beer and I didn't even drink it. I just put some in my mouth just to look cool, and I think I spit it back to the can, and that's where it started. You know, that's where my dad wasn't an alcoholic. He used to drink a lot, and you know, I think my traits picked that up from seeing him drinking, seeing him argue with my mom, and I just remember, you know, never wanted to be home because I would hear arguments from my mom yelling at my dad for drinking too much. And I just wanted to get away, so I lived in a Campbell, in a small town, and my grandparents lived next door, my great-grandparents lived across the street, and my mom's parents lived like 4 houses down, so I had many places to go. I remember just drinking just to take away the pain. And that's where my anger started, getting in relationships. I could just see myself in my dad and myself just never keeping a relationship with a woman. And then alcohol led to, I don't have an addictive personality, but just to take away the pain, sometimes I'll pop pills. Soma's, Vicodin, Valium, and you know, I never really got hardcore on drugs. I was always afraid that if my dad found out, even though he drank and did what he did, I always knew if he found out, I would get love with him, you know, because my dad's old school, so there's no playing around. So as I'm just doing the regular drinking, popping pills, my friends get deeper and deeper into drugs. Oxycontin. I don't know how many of you guys know what Oxycontin is. They started snorting it. They started doing this, and I was watching them. They would always ask me, "Do you want some?" And I said, "No, I would never do it," because I always knew, you know, I had God built around me, I had a foundation that, you know, couldn't overcome any of this stuff. God always, He had a path for me. Even though I drifted away from it, He always had it installed in me. And, you know, I just knew that that's not something that I wanted to get involved with. I had a son at 18 years old. She got pregnant at 18. And that's when my life changed. I stopped smoking weed. I kept drinking, but not as much. I knew that I had a responsibility coming on the way. So I got myself a job. I worked there for 6 years, and that's where another twist turned. Have you guys ever heard that verse? Don't work, it's work as if you're working unto the Lord, not by man. I'm 25 now, but I started drinking when I was a junior, you know, and abusive. And what really hit me was, it could have got worse. I could have killed somebody. I remember that night I had a problem with my son's mother, and we haven't been together for several years, and she made me mad. And I had been sober for about 3 months, and I turned back to alcohol that night, and I had texted my girlfriend that about an hour before, after I got off the phone. I said, you know what, bring home a case of beer. She did it, and I remember as soon as she got there, I picked up a can and I lifted it up like this, and I apologized to God ahead of time. I said, God, I need this. And that night, it turned into a flash. I don't remember nothing. I just remember walking outside, slow motion, eyes pitch red, somebody looking at me saying, you look like you're possessed. You look like you have the devil, the demon inside of you. That's all I remember from that night. And about a week after that, I started going to church, and I remember just breaking in church, and I gave my life that day, and I never turned back. I believe that how many obey God? How many are obedient? How many believe that God, if you obey God, He will turn your life around?
Yes.
He will change you. And I believe, standing right here right now, I'm a changed man. I believe that I have set myself goals that I will fulfill. And man, I had lost my job in December, and I was praying. I told everybody, my family, my friends, I told them, because I worked night shift. I worked 12 in the afternoon and 8 at night. Took away time from my son. Took away time from church. And I made excuses. Even when I had no work on days that were, we had service, I would lie to my mom because she knew my schedule. She would always, I love my mom. My mom's been here for so long, and she's never stopped inviting me. She never stopped pushing for me, and I'm thankful for my mom. If it weren't for her and God, I don't know where I would be right now. Man. Well, anyways, I started coming to church faithfully, and I had lost my job, and I made searching for a job. I was out there 8 hours a day looking for a job, and I remember I was coming to church, and I just prayed to God. I went for an interview, and I prayed to God. I said, God, if this is the job you want me to be at, when this guy calls me, have him say these words, simple words. And he called me up and he said those exact words. And I started crying, and I told God, I will never doubt you. I will never leave you. And I'm still there. And I got my weekends off like I told everybody I was going to get. That's all from God. That is all from God. Weekends off, holidays off. Man, and then I started a business before I got that job. And this is just obedience right here. God was telling me to start paying my tithes. And I remember just passing out my cards, my business cards, a week before I started paying my tithes. And the day I started paying my tithes, the day after I started getting calls from people. And I was booked. It was out of control. My pockets were just filled up with money. And then I gave, you give 10% of what you make. I gave 20% because God blessed me more than I could even think of. I was just so overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. That's just from being obedient, honoring God. When you honor God, God honors you. And I believe that God's stirring this church up, and visitors. I want to be an example, and I want to continue to come. God's going to do something in your life. I can't even explain it. It's unbelievable. Just continue to come. Open up. Trust who you're group with, because we have good people. And there's so much more I want to say. I got a couple verses actually. Numbers 14. Amen. And this is, you know, when we honor God. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us into that land, and a land flowing with milk and honey, and I will give it to us. And I believe, you know, God's showing me portions of what He can give to us. It's not even, you know, it's just a glimpse of what He can do. And then I got, and this has been popping up everywhere for me. It's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. I know I have a future here. I know a future, you know, with God. Just one more thing that God has been tugging at my heart. He's been pulling up comfort zone. You know, when you feel that tugging at your heart, that's God. God's telling you, you know, don't let that fade down. Just, you know, if you feel you're in a church service and you just lift your hands where you're sitting, you know, go up to the front, give Him praise, leave it at the altar. You know,
That's right.
Give Him praise, worship Him. And this glimpse just came upon me. I'm not from Stockton, I'm from Lodi. And Lodi is not bad. You know, Stockton's, man, homicides are just up there. And actually, I was talking to the cops at work, and I was driving to work, I believe, this morning. And I believe God put me in the worst part of town of Stockton. You know, even though I don't work, I never came to Stockton. I remember, man, not coming to Stockton for about 3 or 4 years, just never entering it. That's when I was away from church. I just wanted nothing to do with Stockton. Well, I believe God put me in the worst part of Stockton, you know, and lately I've been reading my Bible in my car, and just you know, drug addicts and prostitutes, you know, just everywhere. And God's just been tugging at my heart lately and saying, get out of your car, go speak, pray with them. And man, when I feel that tugging, I don't let go. I get out of my car, I go, I ask them, I say, you know that God loves you? And I ask them for the name, and I pray for them, and there's a smile on their face just to see somebody who cares. It just makes you feel so good when you obey God. When you're obedient to Him, it's just the best feeling in the world. Yes. And I just want to let you guys know, you know, stay obedient, stay in your word, you know, come to midweek services, do what you got to do, you know.